Hi Instance, I am back with another video. I just did a video on the secrets in the third house, and as I said in that video, today I'm quite frazzled. I had to deal with some very rowdy boys in one of my classes today, and I sent them to the vice principal, for the first time ever. So it's been one of those typical full moon in Aries type of days, and this then, yes, is our video. This is where we have arrived at the full moon in Aries. As I film, it is October 16th. The official date here in Korea is October 17th. This is a full moon and it is a lunar eclipse. So the full moon occurs in the same place as one of the nodes as well. Where should we start with this then? So, by the way, my name is Hini. I'm an astrologer and tarot reader. You can like me if you like what I do, if you like this video, if I vibe with you, you vibe with me, whatever, you can do that. You can subscribe also if you wish. And if you would like a reading or have an inquiry, you can get in touch at the address below in the description box. And also, I already have a video on my channel here about full moons and new moons in general. So if you're interested in that, you can go over there and check that out. Or if you don't know what a full moon is, you can check that out because I go more in depth on the full moon over there. But I will touch on what a full moon is as well in today's video. So yes, the date is October 17th, 2024. Full moon in Aries, in the cardinal fire sign and in the sign of Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars, and this is happening, of course, because it's a full moon, the moon always opposing the sun. We have it happening during Libra season. Hello, by the way, if you're tuning into the live, do leave me a message or a comment if you like. Let me know how your full moon eclipse season is going. I was just saying earlier that mine has been quite a frazzling day today, but we're shining. It was all resolved, and most of my classes were good today, actually. Very fun. Lots of brand new games and stuff that I'm introducing. So that's nice. But anyway, the tone of this full moon in Aries. Also, I want to say, first of all, that we are moving kind of quickly out of Libra season and into Scorpio season. And so we have here the mask slipping more. Now, I've been talking for years now on my channel about Libra season and how it's kind of like a celebrity walking down the red carpet with the photographers, the paparazzi, and all the questions, the social butterfly kind of vibes going high. And then Scorpio season is kind of more like when that celebrity is away from the crowd now, and now they're in their dressing room and they're alone, and maybe they're in the dark or just have a little lamp, and they are looking at their reflection, or they are forced to see themselves. And Scorpio season, and even right now, because we have Venus entering her anaretic point in Scorpio, she's already been in Scorpio for a while now. Scorpio season can introduce these questionings of ourselves, and yes, things like paranoia, and yes, doubt and scorn and skepticism and all of that. But it can be like the celebrity in the dressing room kind of questioning why she said what she said to the paparazzi, or why she answered a question like that, or what did they mean by that question, or how is she portraying herself, or how is she not portraying herself. And it's kind of a much deeper kind of spiraling sometimes, or twisty kind of vibe in Scorpio season. And so that's what I mean sometimes when the mask slips. In other ways, as we enter Scorpio season, the mask slips in terms of like the beauty of things or the harmony of things start to slip. It's like a carpet, a beautiful carpet or rug, and lifting it up, and we see like the dirt, the dust, or whatever that's actually underneath that. That can also be Libra into Scorpio season. And we have here in numerology then the numbers of 8 and 10 with this transition. This is balance and this is focus definitely coming in. And we have 6 here as well numerologically. And this is redress and rebalance and taking back something as well. I'm getting for a lot of us with this full moon. Now, the tone of this full moon, we have yes, the moon, of course. She is going to be full and she's going to be in Aries conjunct Chiron. And we have the moon also sextile Jupiter retrograding at 21 degrees of Gemini. And we have the sun as well, of course, opposing this full moon conjunct Juno in Libra. Now, a lot of this I want to say is going to bring us big kind of condemning diatribe potential. So watch out for that. I have been talking a long time now in my astrological practice about how Libra season is the beginning of the end. So Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, this is all the time for closing things down, shutting down, and kind of privately or quietly unwinding and pulling back the contributions and pulling back the spending and pulling back this and that. And it's much more about starting to go into a more kind of spiritual cocoon. Now, it's only the beginning of the end, so it still has a lot of like liveliness to it. There's still a lot of light, but it is the beginning of the shadow half of the year. And when we get into Scorpio season, we might feel more of this want to crystallize or start to cocoon ourselves in some way. But yes, there can be this condemning potential or diatribe potential with Jupiter being in Gemini here, making this sextile to the full moon in a sign like Aries. So yes, lots of masculine energy and also lots of uncomfortable energy. So this is not going to be one of the easiest full moons necessarily for people. And we have also, and this is very important, a square being made by the full moon to Mars, 22 degrees of Cancer. This is actually exactly on my ascendant of Cancer rising. Very interesting that this full moon was happening for me as I had to escort 2 boys out of my classroom for fighting, take them to the vice principal. But yes, we have this square Mars. He is not only the ruler of squares, making this aspect very important, but also he's the host of this full moon because we have this full moon in Aries. And what do we know about Mars right now? He's in Cancer, which is a sign of his fall. So we have uncomfortable vibes from the moon sextiling Jupiter. Jupiter does not like to be in Gemini. And then we have the host of this full moon fallen in Cancer. So you get the vibes, right? For a lot of people and a lot of situations and expressions. And of course, this is also a lunar eclipse. So these eclipses, it's not just your regular kind of full moon. It has much more of a long lasting, for many people, effect or bigger impact for people, or can feel more intense or significant for people. And the other square I wanted to mention is the square that this full moon makes to, thank you for the likes, by the way, whoever just liked my live, thank you. This square that the full moon makes to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, some people will know that Pluto very recently went direct again and will slowly start to make his way out of Capricorn again and into Aquarius. And this will mark the beginning of the end of Pluto's time in Capricorn. And it will not be for another 2 centuries. It will not be for another 2 centuries that Pluto is in Capricorn. So Pluto's done there for all intents and purposes of everyone watching here. Pluto's done with us in Capricorn. But also we have, what did I want to say here? We have a T-square, yes, that is being made with this full moon and Pluto. So the sun, moon, and Pluto making a T-square. And then we have Venus, of course. Venus, as I've been saying in my recent videos, Venus, she is at the head of the planetary procession. She's in Scorpio. She's almost out of Scorpio, actually. She's going to gain some more dignity by entering Sagittarius later. But she's been ahead of the pack for a while. And yes, she's in Scorpio now, and she's making a trine to this full moon in Aries. And also, she's making a trine to Neptune in Pisces and an opposition to Uranus in Taurus. Now, one thing I noticed around this full moon as well, and my kind of reflections on this eclipse, is that because we're also still in Libra season, there can be very much this heated feeling or this intense feeling or anger or strong desire that someone or some situation gets its just desserts or gets karma or retribution. There can be this real want to kind of swing that Libran sword. And who other than Johnny Somali to pop up on my feeds? Now, if you don't know Johnny Somali, that's very good. I'm glad you don't know him, but he's one of these nuisance content creators. So he goes around public doing live streams and basically harasses the public. Now, he is quite known for having gone to Japan, for example, and he would play things about, like, you know, he would like shout or play Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and like obviously really upset the Japanese people and upset the public, and do all other kinds of disturbances. And then he went to Israel, and he would go around asking people which side they were on. And now he's in Korea, which is where I am as well. So he was banned from Japan, I believe. Not like no surprise, but he was banned, I'm pretty sure, from Japan. And now he's in Korea. And I saw a couple of videos that he was making recently, and it really started to make my blood boil, because it's one of those people that you just want to see get their retribution. And there have been some moments where he got into altercations physically with people who didn't want to take his shiz. Like a punch or a swing or a push, these things did come to him, but obviously not enough has happened to him to like actually stop him from doing these things of being a nuisance. And I feel, what is my prediction? I feel like something is going to happen that's going to hopefully make him stop these things. Hopefully it doesn't cost him his life or anything serious like that, but that it really wakes him up out of that very kind of childish kind of behavior, basically, of going around and causing a nuisance. Like, for example, when I saw his recent video in Korea, he was like getting up on the stage of these, like all these old people were like performing something like a musical recital, and he was just getting on this stage and walking all around the stage. He's got nothing to do with it, but he just felt like that's what he should do. And then he was playing North Korean like music and broadcasts in the middle of South Korea, which I'm also pretty sure is illegal. But you can get the kind of person I'm talking about. And it can bring, this full moon can bring these feelings of, I really want I wish something or someone would get like the retribution or get a spiritual proverbial slap. And maybe this is the time when that happens for some of us in some way. Now, yes, the host of this full moon is Mars, and making this square to Mercury, to the moon. And we have here the overarching energies as well of the dragon year. So we're in a dragon year, and this is about maintaining a wisdom, maintaining our wisdom, which I've also been touching on in my recent videos. And it's also because later we have Scorpio season. So this is going to bring a lot more of those nasty energies. And this is, I've been thinking this for a while now, but the Scorpios, especially Scorpio rising, Scorpio heavy people, they will benefit a lot, or they will be amplified a lot, should I say, during this dragon year, because dragon year is such a good match for the Scorpio energy. But also because we are in Libra season still, I would say that we are to keep our awareness of the fact that this is the season of the divine instrument, and to watch out for things like vanity and narcissism and these things, and also to watch for actions and patterns, not words or ideas. So we want to, we're not taking things so much or at all at surface value anymore. And we're kind of sick of it sometimes as well. We're going to be sick of like taking just a word or a promise without any delivery. So we have to look now for the actual material stuff coming through. And also, this is about anger and being angry and being swollen, frustrated. Uh, it's also a very dynamic kind of full moon. And I would say a lot of us are kind of like poised for combat in some way. I say that not just because this is a Mars and full moon, but also because we have Chiron here. And Chiron is the teacher, yes. But one of the things that he taught, did you know, was martial arts. He taught martial arts. And he's kind of this representative of that spirit which prefers peace, but won't not let you find out if you push for far enough. So that's Chiron. So there can be this want to teach a lesson or just react or respond when pushed to do so. And there's a sense of being poised to do so, especially in combination with I'm watching your moves. Again, going back to this Johnny Somali thing and other content creators like that, I think, the police, the authorities, other people will be much more on their back now, and they will be following and tracking and trying to make sure that justice is brought to the people who are hurt and annoyed by these content creators. Also, we have rashness. Yes, this is a typical like Aries energy, rashness and rude reactions. And this can be for some people a test of cordial compromise. Again, we're in Libra season still, so a big test of cordial compromise or like combat, kind of like diplomatic combat. And this is intense overflow or surge of cardinal surface expansion energy, because the cardinal energy, this is Aries, cardinal energy is about wanting to expand or gain as much surface or territory as possible spiritually. So it can be about power, and it can be about wanting to keep control of things. I would say that's dangerous as well, because as we enter this last half of the astrological year, as I said before, it's much more about going within now and kind of quietly retreating now, or kind of starting to go to sleep now. And it's not so much about chasing wildly brand new things or things that are more whimsical or random. We have then also this idea of this thing of like putting thoughts or ideas out forcefully with this full moon in Aries. So yes, like you have an opinion or a perspective, and you just want to make sure it's heard, especially with Jupiter in Gemini sextiling this full moon. There can be that, as I mentioned at the beginning, this diatribe type of vibe. And also, this is like glass with Libra season. So we have something like a glass or something like a mirror, and it shatters, whether literally or spiritually. And there can be these like outbursts of the kind of objective truth, because Libra is actually very good at looking at the objective truth, that doing that spiritual zoom out. And I think this is going to be very necessary for a lot of people during this full moon, because full moons are about big kind of emotional releases and final realizations of things. And I feel like a lot of people will be realizing things about their narcissistic partners or parents or their narcissistic selves. And it can be helpful and healthy for some of us to do that zooming out, which Libra is so good at, which is to make something devoid of emotions and to assess things exactly as how they happened. And that can protect us as well from being, for example, gaslit or being deliberately like confused by people or situations. I really recommend, I've been saying this, I think, since the beginning of Libra season or in Virgo season even, write things down. Write diaries, journals. If you're in a dynamic where you feel unsure or confused, I even said this on my TikTok, by the way, you can follow me at Hinny High. I said this on one of my TikToks, like, if you're feeling unsure or confused in a relationship, you're getting that kind of gaslighting type of energy, or you're unsure, write things down in the most objective way you can. For example, if this is about money with a family member, like write down how much you've actually spent and how much they've actually spent. Or if this is about time, how much time you've actually given, how much time they've actually given. Or if you're writing diaries or a journal, write down the events on the daily, or as much as you can. And then when someone later tries to say, no, that didn't happen, well, you have it. You can go back and you can say, well, actually, yes, it did happen. And it's not about necessarily pulling out the receipts and putting it into someone's face. It's more about you and giving yourself that reassurance, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist. We're going to talk a lot about narcissism as we go from Libra into Scorpio season. But it's much more about you and just knowing that actually, yes, you are in the right. You were in the right. It's literally there. It's recorded already. It's been recorded. It's more about you and giving them, this other person, this enemy, giving them the least amount of fuel or fire to kind of continue fighting with you with. Okay, also like the manipulation of objects, literally. This is also very Libra kind of energy coming through, but also like the throwing of these objects. This reminds me of back in the day we had Cardi B, right? Throwing her high heel at Nicki Minaj. Cardi B, Libra, Sun. And yeah, so manipulation or throwing of objects. This is kind of like when the teacher raps on the board or the sergeant kind of hits the table or screams, attention. There can be that kind of scary kind of outburst suddenly from someone around you around this full moon. And also some people will explode as a kind of sensitivity is triggered. And some people will be really exercising a kind of masterful, remember Chiron is here as well, a kind of masterful composure among mean girls or any kind of mean girls dynamic or while facing an attack. Thank you for the like, by the way. Or being accused even. So there might be this temptation to want to fight. But if you really don't have to fight, my advice would be don't fight. Try to resist that, all this Aries, Martian, Jupiterian, puffy, feisty energy. And if you don't have to fight, try to make these, Mars is in Cancer, right? So try to make these kind of crab sidestep or chariot from a distance on the flank. Try to make more of these moves or be in these kind of dynamics or spaces than just kind of taking the bait, because sometimes that's what it's about. It's just like, here's some bait and we fall for it. But this is the beginning of the shadow half of the year, so we're not going to fall for these dynamics, right? And we have then also the disciplined, and as I mentioned before, the diplomatic, because we're in Libra season. So it can be very much about classic Libra season stuff. If you don't want to do something, you can still say no, and you don't have to be mean about it or harsh about it, but you're still saying no. You're asserting your boundaries. You're protecting your territory, cardinal energy here. You're protecting your kingdom, your queendom, right? And this can be also a real test for some in terms of pick your battles. So kind of as I was just saying, but here, like, I guess also choose the hill that you want to die on around this full moon. And Libra season, by the way, is the beginning and the end. Not a time for newness, as I was saying, not a time for overspending or overgiving or oversharing, but it can be a good time for new ends. So wanting to end something with this kind of, again, that final kind of release or realization type of energy. So you finally realize you're done with a relationship, a dynamic, a situation. And Libra season can be that invitation for you to be like swinging that sword, like, no, this is the line that I'm drawing. Lines, very important in Libra season. Lines, boundaries. No, okay, fine, that's it. And needing to know how to do this. Needing to know how to do this. It's very important as we get to the end of Libra season and get deeper into the beginning of the end of the year. What else did I want to say? Also, putting things on a pause or letting things die as well. That's fine as well around this full moon. Some things will be allowed to be paused, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. And some things around any eclipse will just die and fall away. In the northern hemisphere, this is literally seen by how the leaves fall from the tree as we just pass the autumn equinox and go through Libra season. We literally see this, but in a spiritual sense, it's like decay and death. And no matter how old a tree is, or strong, or perfectly fed a tree is, these leaves will always fall. Something always gives and dies. That's just natural. Anyway, let's go a teeny bit into the signs. So I do rising signs, as you probably know if you've been subscribed to me. I do rising signs and whole sign astrology. So very briefly, how this full moon in Aries or this lunar eclipse might affect you. Again, especially if you have this happening in a angular house, so that's in Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. If you have it in like which would be your first, fourth, seventh, or 10th houses. Sorry, so first, fourth, seventh, or 10th houses. If the full moon is there, this is much more likely to be affecting you in some way. And also the key themes I have here is like reactions and releases and over spilling. So it's these kind of things in the house where you have Aries. Now for Aries rising, this is happening in your first house. So this is very much an angular house. It's your first house. It's the house of things like you as a person. And it is the house of your health and spirit and personality and aura. So there can be something going on there for you, Aries rising. Now, for Taurus rising, this is happening in your 12th house. So this is the themes of things like bad spirit and sabotage and things like drunkenness and dreamscapes, what I call the dreamscapes. So paying attention to your dreams. Maybe you have a very like kind of fiery or dynamic type of dream. And Gemini rising, then, this is the 11th house. So this is your friends, your groups, your wishes, your alliances. For Cancer rising, just like Aries, very important for you because we have this happening in an angular house for you. And also, any full moon is important for you because you're ruled by the moon, Cancer. This is your career. This is your reputation. This is judgment and action, especially big actions that you have to take or you will take. I need to speed up because my battery is going to run out. Libra. Sorry, not Libra. Leo. Leo. Also important for you because we have the sun here, which is always involved in a full moon. This is your house, Leo, of beliefs and your quote-unquote right way and higher learning. Virgo rising, this is your 8th house of debt, death, contracts, and partners' baggage. Libra rising, cardinal and angular house for you, 7th house. This is partners and compromise and animosity. Scorpio rising, this is your 6th house, suffering and bad fortune and employees and managing. Sagittarius rising, this is your 5th house. This is children. This is self-pleasure, charity, and romance. Capricorn rising, cardinal angular house for you, 4th house, family, home, house, the past, and secrets. And Aquarius rising, this is the 3rd house, siblings, friends, neighbors, the communication as well of how it's like how and yeah, the communication and like how you're heard. That's what I want to say. How you're heard. Finally, Pisces rising, second house. This is your spending, your money, your nutrition, your assets, and all of your stuff. Okay, and that's what I have to say on this full moon in Aries, lunar eclipse. And let me know in the comments if you have any Aries placements or what is going on for you around this full moon. I love you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.